Hey, we're going to be looking at Qualcomm. So ticker symbol QCOM. The last time we looked at this was about a month ago on the 17th of March. At that time, it was trading at 120. Currently, it's at 114. We have in the middle of our screen here 1 month chart. So it's not exactly the last time we checked in, but it's very close. And so we can just see an overall downward trend to this one happening in that 1 month period. I did have a buy point marked at 123, so that seems to have been maybe too high. I probably could have pulled it back a little bit. And then I had a resistance point of 159. It looks like we're going away from that. So the plan is we're going to talk about some of the news that uh, has come across for Qualcomm over the past roughly 5 weeks, and then we'll jump into the technical analysis and we'll close out the video. So before I get started, I just want to say if you have any questions or if there's an article you think I might have missed, something newsworthy that I might have missed, uh, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to read that or answer the question as best I can. With that said, let's look into it. So the first thing that comes up, probably the most important, is their second quarter earnings is going to be released pretty soon. May 3rd seems to be the date, so about a week from now. Ordinarily, I probably wouldn't circle back to this one until, I cycle through the entire rotation, which might be maybe 3 weeks. But because earnings, I'll try to push it ahead so we can, you know, get it out there as soon as possible. Something else that happened is uh, they announced a quarterly cash dividend of 80 cents per share. So if you own any, you're going to get 80 cents this quarter. So congrats to that. But with that out of the way, here's probably the best news of the whole thing. So Qualcomm and Nvidia had a little competition, and Qualcomm actually beat Nvidia in 2 out of 3 categories. Just to jump ahead, uh, the third category, which they lost, it probably was the most important category, but let's let's stay positive here. They won 2 out of 3, which the way people talk and trade about Nvidia, you would think that Nvidia would have won all 3 with ease. So this is a very good sign, I think, in my opinion, to see that Qualcomm's doing this. So some of the details here. Number one, uh, once again, Qualcomm beat Nvidia in 2 out of 3 measures of power efficiency in a new set of data. Analysts believe that the market for data center inference chips will grow quickly as businesses put AI technologies into their products. But companies such as Google are exploring how to keep a lid on the extra costs. And so one of the major costs is electricity, and Qualcomm has used has used its history designing chips for battery powered devices such as smartphones to create a chip called the Cloud AI 100 that aims for minimal power consumption. So that's one of the focuses of this test is how efficient can you be to save electricity. And so again, Qualcomm won 2 out of 3. So that's very important. And Qualcomm is very into saving the environment. You'll see that as we continue on. There's a good portion of this is going to be articles on them becoming more efficient, which is a good thing. Uh, Moving on, we see ML Commons, an engineering consortium that maintains testing benchmarks widely used in the AI chip industry. Qualcomm's A100 beat NVIDIA's flagship H100 chip at classifying images based on how many data center server queries each chip can carry out per watt. So along those lines, Qualcomm's chip hit 227 server queries per watt versus 108 queries per watt. So they're way out in front. They can do more with less. The second thing, Qualcomm also beat Nvidia at object detection with a score of 3.8 queries per watt versus 2.4 queries per watt. Object detection can be used in applications like analyzing footage from retail stores to see where shoppers are going most often. Really, it's just helping, I guess, the camera or the AI see things. Right now, Qualcomm is better at identifying these objects, whatever they might be, in a faster, more efficient rate. Of course, we have to mention the loss that Qualcomm took, which of course is to Nvidia's gain here. Nvidia took the top spot in both absolute performance terms and power efficiency terms in a test of natural language processing. So they're putting this one as the most important spot. Or maybe I'm just reading into that, but this last one where Nvidia actually won, this one is focused on AI technology most widely used in systems like chatbots. So maybe that's just not Qualcomm's target market. If they're beating in object detection and energy efficiency, maybe Qualcomm's more meant for the cars. I know they're in EVs to a degree. I think if their chips are saving a car energy, especially one that runs on electricity, and it's better at detecting objects, or maybe it's not better, it's just more efficient at doing it, which I guess makes it better if it's able to do it quicker and with less energy. I'm assuming just as quick. I feel like this is a big win for Qualcomm. The more I think about it, I do think this is a big win for them, especially because this is Nvidia's H100, which is a very new chip for them. So this is actually very promising. Probably, like I said, the best news of the whole episode. Next, we have just a little more background into some of the money. It looks like insiders who sold 2.2 million worth of stock earlier this year are probably glad they did. So I don't know. This article kind of read funny to me, but ultimately I think what happened is, just like the title says, that insiders such as C-class people, the CEO or whatever, sold 2.2 million shares, and ultimately it was a good move considering the price is continuing to trade down. They're saying that the sell price of that 2.2 million, which again, this is a huge company, but still, that is a lot of shares, sold at about 131 on average over the last year, and based on what we saw, it's currently at like 114, so that was a good price. They do list one of the insiders. It's the chief technology officer, James Thompson, sold 1.3 million at, they're guessing, I don't know if they're guessing or if this is actually true, but $132 per share. And when this article was published, they were trading at 123. It's continued to go down. So that was a very good time to sell in this case. It also mentions Qualcomm's insiders didn't buy any shares over the last year. Not sure if that should be super concerning, but it is worth noting. And they also kind of ease off a little bit by saying a high insider ownership often makes company leadership more mindful of shareholder interests. I thought there was a point here where basically it's not, what you need to be concerned about whenever it comes to insider trading is if the traders are selling even when the price is going down, that's a really bad sign. The fact that he traded when it peaked, I mean, that's just good business. I think he just timed it very well. He's an insider. He kind of knew what was going on, but nothing to really be worried about. Just a little fun fact, I suppose. This article goes into. Oh, did I skip something? Oh yeah, okay. So this is just a little interesting. So someone ran a intrinsic value for Qualcomm. The things that I want to point out for this is, number one, this was his calculated estimate. So you can see what he's using the free cash flow method for the 10 years. Number one, he's taking these revenue figures, which are based on, I assume, analyst projections, maybe his projections. I'm sure the first 2 years is kind of easy to find people to project that short of a period of time. Just, I mean, 2023 is openly available. 2024, probably need to dig a little more. 25, 26, you're dealing with less and less people that are looking that far ahead. But either way, he picked a number that seemed reasonable. And when we look at these, we can actually see it fluctuates a little bit, which is interesting to see. Uh, but overall, it's more or less trending upwards. And I guess I'm not sure what the average it. Like, I just feel like overall he made a very conservative judgment for this company, considering everything that's going around them in terms of EVs and AI, and Qualcomm's in the 5G market. I guess the only concern with Qualcomm that I can think of is I believe they're one of Apple's major chip makers, and once Apple separates, that's going to be a big hit to Qualcomm. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet. That might be what this dip in 2025 is, and I'm not sure if that might be a little small. Uh, Hopefully, you can see it now. But I also heard that Samsung's looking to pick up Qualcomm chips, so I think for whatever reason, this company's going to like even out. That said, I just really wanted to point out how low of a projected growth in revenue he's projecting out, less than about 1%, almost 2%. Uh, so very low. I feel like he was very conservative here. And if we zoom back out, the reason I also point that out is because this is what he ultimately came up with, that the fair value today is about 136, and the fact that it's right now trading at 114, this seems like a very good company to pick up while it's low. Uh, just going to keep that in mind, that again he's forecasting a very low a revenue growth rate, and I would imagine this company's going to outpace that 1 to 2% growth. Of course, we'll track it over time, but I feel like this is a good thing to see it trading that low. It makes me feel like this one's a deal. Something else that came up, Qualcomm's AI research team has been making advances in deep learning model efficiency. Again, the efficiency is very key. For the past years, with state-of-the-art results in neural architecture search, compilation, conditional compute, and quantization. Uh, the point is, being more efficient, and it sounds like they're going different routes to do this. So, very cool. The next thing is yes. Okay, so this is the last article before we go into like their environmental type of uh, advancements. So we had someone just from the Madison Investments go into Qualcomm and what they think of this, and so I thought this was pretty important to share here. Qualcomm fundamentals have been hurt over the last several quarters due to excess smartphone inventories, so low sales. Again, we've heard that is supposed to go away beginning in quarter three. So uh, I'd have to dig in to find what they're expecting the results to be for quarter two. Uh, but based on their next earnings is so quick, we're just going to wait for that, and then we'll build on that and kind of, just build momentum off that. Uh, they're also seeing excess inventory in Internet of Things. I can't think off the top of my head what Internet of Things items they sell. Again, once we get the quarterly report, things will kind of open up for us more, uh, which will take a couple quarters. So they're saying it's going to take a couple quarters. Based on the timing of their earnings report, I guess there'd be this one, the next one, and then the third report that comes out based on the timing here would be May, June, July, August, September, October, like November. About November, I think that's when things we'll see the turnaround hopefully play out based on what analysts are projecting. Qualcomm fundamentals should trough in June with a second half recovery, just like what we were saying. Qualcomm remains well positioned to diversify away from smartphones with long term growth in auto and Internet of Things. Uh, Again, we'll continue to monitor that. Uh, Next, okay, so now for whatever reason, they really wanted to share their advancements in just becoming an overall cleaner and greener and more efficient company. And I can respect that. So we'll just kind of share some of the updates that they did make. This one relates to water. We make our greatest gains in water conservation by using reclaimed water instead of potable water for irrigation and our cooling plant systems whenever possible. We decreased our freshwater dependency at our San Diego headquarters by 51% from 2016 to 2022 by expanding our recycled water system. So very cool. They dropped 50%. San Diego, I have to imagine that's one of the drier locations that they have. So to cut water in a place that probably needs it more than others, I think that's a great achievement. Moving on, we also have what's this one? Right. So they have I've never heard of this, but they have a global standard for energy management systems. This ISO 5001. Uh, it's it's an essential element is continuous improvement. I'd be I don't think they really go into it, but they do mention they have implemented more than 50 energy savings projects across the manufacturing facilities. Uh, oh, okay, it does go into it. The projects range from building infrastructure improvements, such as upgrading to state of the art windows, to technical infrastructure improvements, such as rectifying compressed air leaks and upgrading vacuum pumps, resulting in more than 10,000 megawatt hours of energy savings. So on the electric front, they have all these little things that I guess they have this, whatever this ISO 5001 item is, it, it's helping them become more efficient. Uh, and I would imagine lower energy costs, both water, electric. And then we have one more that's going to touch on, I believe, gas here. So let's see. Qualcomm is so climate change. This will be into gas. So in physical 2022, we announced our plans to achieve a net zero global emissions for scopes 1, 2, and 3 by 2040. Based on the pace they're going, I think they're going to beat this, but we will see. That's a long way away, and I'm sure, even though we're seeing these 50% down, I mean, to get to zero, that's very difficult. Uh, you know, everyone can make improvements, but to actually be like perfect, that's something else. Our 10-year renewable energy agreement with Shell Energy North has reduced our emissions by 25,000, 26,000 roughly, or 10% of our total scope 1 and 2 emissions since last year. Again, making improvements, this time on the gas front. Uh, and further on that, we reduced our consumption of natural gas at our German facility by 50% by shutting down our combined heat and power plant. The remaining 50% of natural gas is used in waste air treatment to reduce emissions of volatile organic compounds and GHG emissions. So again, just making progress all around. They hit the water, electricity, gas. They're doing it all. But with that all out of the way, now let's look into the technicals. So right away, I just want to kind of clean this up a little bit. I like to I want to have the bars parallel, if anything, and this still is intact, even though it like peaked above. So let's just dig in a little bit. This one is likely going to be one I'll want to pick up. So currently it's at 114. The buy point I had was 123. So, and it's the green line, so no knocking that one. At this point, I guess I, uh, a couple things that I'll point out is We already said it's below that green line. As far as this uptrend, it looks like we're breaking the uptrend. We just did. It's down to almost 3% today. I'm not sure. I'm anxious to see the quarterly reports. I'll tell you that. Because otherwise, I'm not sure why it's breaking so bad all of a sudden over this past month. Um, I mean, they would have forecasted stuff out here. Yeah, we'll look into this. We'll have an answer soon on this one. But yeah, it looks like we can still say we're in the uptrend, but I mean, we have now effectively hit not quite. If we zoom in really close, we can see we're still just slightly higher than this low down here, but it seems like it's more than likely going to happen that we're actually going to see a lower low than the last time as opposed to a higher low. We are still on the cusp of this uptrend. We're at the bottom end of it. So for that reason, that's the second reason to buy this one. Below the buy point on the bottom end of the uptrend. Ultimately, I think the worst case would be we'll pull back to 105. I mean, that's where it was during its all-time low of late. Not until we get down to 2020. 2020, it was at this price, but it was on its way up. The next stop, I guess, below 105 would maybe be like 90, somewhere in the 90 to 80 range. I don't think we'll get back to that point, especially because the company's still growing. It's just more in a flat period as opposed to a losing period. So I don't expect us to break 105, but we will see. We will see. For now, I'm just going to say financials on 5/3 to be released. I'm going to add in the date. Resistance point. It looks like resistance is likely at like 144. I mean, it's struggling to stay above 123 in all honesty. But for buy points, we are going to add a new buy point of 105 and 123. We'll just make that a pink color so it sticks out. So this one's still a buy. This is one that I actually feel pretty good about buying it. Like others, I've been on the fence. I could argue either way, but this one I actually feel good about. So I probably will buy this one tomorrow morning. Again, in terms of updating it, I'm still going to keep the uptrend in track because sort of like in this period here, it broke the uptrend in a positive way, but sure enough, 2 or 3 weeks later, it pulled right back into the range, traded sideways for a little bit. And so I think this might be just one of those instances where it does break the uptrend, but in a week or two, possibly if we see good results, or maybe if they give us a positive forecast for the next quarter, I think this one will just pop right back up into the range. Of course, we'll see once we actually get the report in about a week. But for now, I'm going to keep this as is. And with that, this is a very quick overview. So currently it's at 114. Buy points are at 105 and 123. Resistance at 144. And then there's the date with their financials expected to come out on 5/3. So hopefully I'll circle back to this one closer to that range as opposed to waiting it out for like 2 or 3 weeks as if nothing major was happening. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you have any questions that I could possibly help with, I'll do my best to answer those. Or if you want to share any comments or feedback, let me know in the comments. And other than that, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.